3, 2, 1.
What's up, everyone? Thanks for dropping by That Racing Show. I'm your host, Todd Brown. 2023. Wow, man, it's going to be a very pivotal year, performance-based for so many drivers out there. Guys who switch manufacturers, switch teams, who need to go out there and win and prove themselves, which we're going to talk about them here shortly. But it's also a year that a team stands a chance of losing a charter. Very pivotal year for them. Now, if you're not familiar with this, NASCAR has a clause with the charter system. It's called a performance standard. It says that you need to finish within the top 33 in points, because if you fail to finish in the top 33 for 3 consecutive years, NASCAR can, and in my opinion, will pull your charter. Now, the reason why I say I think they will is because you got teams like RCR and 2311 who are looking to expand. You got Junior Motorsports looking to come into the Cup Series. It's going to be a hot bidding war for that seat if this comes to fruition. The team we're talking about, Ware Racing and the number 15. Failed to finish in the top 33 the last 2 years. Put him in the hot seat. A lot of things in question with this year. Going to be an interesting year to see how this plays out. Now, if you're not familiar with Ware Racing, when the charter first started, he bought 4 different charters. To me, is one of the greatest decisions made in NASCAR as a businessman over the recent years, because he's been able to use them, move them around, lease them, sell them, make money off from them. But one of the things that they've failed to do, unfortunately, is put those cars in a contention. Now, the number 53 spent 2 years outside of the top 33 in points, was in this hot seat. Last year, they sold their charter to the number 7, Spire Motorsports. They were able to go out, have good runs, finish in the top 33 in points, wipe their slate clean. There was another team last year that was in the same boat. That was the number 00 Starcom Racing, which they sold their charter, 2311 for the 45. They exited racing, but obviously the 45 was able to finish in the points and wipe their slate clean as well. Now with Ware Racing, this is the number 15. This car right here has got to perform this year, because if they don't, again, there is an opportunity to take this charter. Now, there was a lot of talk at the end of the year, this last year, about Ryan Preece getting in this car to run a full season, because Stewart Haas needed to put him in a full-time ride to keep him active. Obviously, last year, Stewart Haas and Ware Racing had a technical alliance, but that fell apart. This year, RFK and Ware have established this alliance, with Ware moving into the shops over there. Proved to be pretty good at Daytona with a 10th place finish for the number 15. Really helped their point of performance, of showing that they deserve to be here and stand a chance in this series. And obviously, Riley Herbst is a Stewart Haas driver, so it's kind of interesting to see that happen. But this year, they got some names coming in there. Todd Gilliland's going to get in for 5 races. They're obviously doing everything that they can to keep this car in the points. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with other drivers and what RFK is able to establish with them to keep them in there, because obviously, they want to keep a multi-team like this, because RFK was one that went from a 4-car team down to a 2-car team. So this is going to be an interesting situation to see how it plays out through the year. I loved all the independent teams that were around for so many years, but we're in a whole different era now where there's only 36 charters. Back when we used to have all the independent drivers back then, they were racing for the money. Now the money's guaranteed with the charter. So it's kind of a situation that if you can't finish inside the top 33 in points for consecutive years, it might be time to move on and let somebody else jump in there and take the reins and provide some competitive equipment. But again, I'm wishing all the best for that 15 team, because I like to see these teams like this be able to compete. Also, Cody Ware and that 51, because, man, that's what racing is about to me, is seeing some of the underdogs come out and do some great stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. But keep your eye open all year, because this is going to be a story within itself, especially as it gets down to the end of the year, to see if they can finish inside of that top 33 or what happens. Now, the other drivers I want to talk about, obviously drivers who switch manufacturers, but there's one who didn't, and that is Bubba Wallace. Now, I'm not putting Bubba Wallace on the hot seat for any point, because obviously he's won races. To me, he's a hell of a driver. He's doing his thing, but he's got a lot of people who put a lot of pressure on him. And if he doesn't go out there and get these wins this year, it's not in contention for a championship. I think the fan base that is against him is going to get way more harder and way more rough around him. And it's going to be a pivotal year. See if you can go out there and get it done, get some wins under the belt, and quiet some people or give people more reason to talk. So going to be a very pivotal year again based off performance. Now, the other driver who did switch teams, who I think has got a lot on his shoulders this year, is Kyle Busch. And the reason why I say he's got a lot on his shoulders, because obviously RCR, Dale Sr., a lot of fans out there that still loved that connection. And a lot of them people weren't fans of Kyle Busch. So, again, very pivotal year to see if he can get it done in this car, what happens with it, especially after Tyler Reddick went out there and got wins in the car last year. Puts a lot of pressure on him to go out there and win. Obviously, he's been fast right out of the gate. Had a car to win at Daytona. Was very disappointed that he didn't get to win. But I see this car as having many wins this year. I see it being a top contender all year long. And just a wild year that I look forward to. Now, the driver that we also spoke of with this, Tyler Reddick, moving over to the 45. The guy who basically started the dominoes falling. Again, all on him. He left that 8 car with wins last year, went to the 45. You don't get wins this year. A lot of people are going to talk. Going to be a lot of pressure on that young man to get it done this year, which again, I think it's going to happen. I think he's going to be a contender all year long, and good things will come about it. And the guy who left that 45 car, who replaced Kyle Busch in the 18, Ty Gibbs going to that 54 car. Obviously, a lot of Kyle Busch fans upset. JGR let him go. Puts more pressure on Ty Gibbs to perform this year, especially in that car that used to be drove by Kyle Busch. A lot of people already love to hate Ty Gibbs. A lot of people love to love Ty Gibbs. Obviously, one hell of a racer. A winner last year, champion in Xfinity Series. So a lot of pressure on that young man. And I, too, again, see him as winning races this year. I just don't see it's going to be possible for him not to win because he's in competitive equipment. Very talented young man. And I think it's going to be a great year for him, too. Now, the driver I really want to talk about here is Corey LaJoie. Now, I see this as being a year for him. That's a year that will define the rest of his career. Now, the reason why I say this, there's a lot of drivers that are going to be retiring. Obviously, Kevin Harvick getting out. 10 cars are going to come open. Obviously, the 19 will come open in the next year or two. A lot of powerhouse teams are going to need somebody to fill that seat. And I think Corey LaJoie is the strongest driver out there right now, the most talented driver to get into one of these cars to put him in contention for wins right out of the gate. Now, I'm not saying I don't want to see him inspire motorsports, have a great year and win, because honestly, I would not be surprised 1 minute to see that 7 car in victory lane anytime this year. And as I say, I love to see these smaller teams succeed like this. So if Corey went out there, had one hell of a year, got some wins, and stuck with that 7 car, I think it would be great news. Be great for everybody, great for the team, great for stories. But again, a lot of seats opening up. If Corey is looking to better himself and get into a little more of a hot rod maybe, I think those seats will be open for him, at least one of them. So it's going to be an interesting year. Now, as always, I want to hear your comments. Throw them comments down below. Let's talk about all this. What's on your mind? Who you want to see go where? Who you think is going to be succeeding this year and who's going to fall? All good stories that are going to be happening all year long. So hope you stick around with us. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Going to be doing this and talking racing all year long, little short segments and some longer ones, going in the shops, all kinds of things that are coming up. Just getting everything established right now with everybody and looking forward to a great year talking racing with you. So hit that subscribe button, get them likes coming in. Hope everybody has a great week. And as always, we'll see you at the checkered flag.